I remember hearing stories about witches. Is it true what they say?
Elves are the original sorcerers of the continent. When humans and monsters arrived, elves taught the humans how to turn chaos into magic. And then the humans slaughtered them.
Chaos is the most dangerous thing in this world. But without control, chaos will kill you.
So that's all life is to you? Monsters and money?
It's all it needs to be.
Something out there waits for you.
This child will be extraordinary.
Yennefer, imagine the most powerful woman in the world. Do you have what it takes?
I've got her here. She's why they came. You can't outrun destiny just because you're terrified of it. It's coming. Find Geralt of Rivia.
I can't do this without you.
No matter what you choose, you'll come out bloody.
Hi everyone, happy Comic-Con week continues. We finally got our first actual trailer for the Witcher series with Henry Cavill. All this stuff is based on the books, not so much on the games. I'll explain why that is and what all the Easter eggs are going on. There are a couple storylines that they've added to stuff that did not appear during the books, so I'll try to explain what that is. I will be doing episode videos for this when it premieres later this year, so be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll do some cool Witcher giveaways when we start to get episodes too. So just starting at the beginning of the trailer, working our way to the end. Just to be clear, this is basically covering most of the first book, The Last Wish, maybe a little bit of Sword of Destiny, because that's the book where he meets Ciri for the first time. But obviously you can tell during this trailer she's a little bit older, so they've kind of done the Game of Thrones things with the younger children. The younger characters on Game of Thrones had to be aged up for the TV show because the book versions of the characters were so young that they were never going to be able to find actors that would be able to do a good job. So you see Geralt walking through town, and it looks like he's getting ready to start a fight. He gets into a fight with these people. This might be the events of the Butcher of Blaviken when he got that nickname. If you're not familiar with the mythology of the Witchers or their history, Witchers are basically monster hunters for hire. There's a couple moments during the trailer where he's questioned by Triss, this is Triss, saying, "Do you think that that's all there is?" And he's like, "That's all there needs to be. Hunting monsters, taking money." But what they're teasing through the trailer is the idea that he gets caught up in this larger story that revolves around Ciri. They keep referring to her during the trailer as if she's this child of destiny. She has this secret power. She has elven blood in her. They talk about elves at the beginning of the trailer. They're this ancient powerful race that man eventually tried to kill and take down. So the whole idea is there's no real villain on the series. Everybody is kind of terrible in their own way, but some of them are more terrible than others. Like you see the Nilfgaardian army coming to massacre all the people of Sintra and take over their territory. But the first couple of books, a lot of the events that you see during the trailer are a bunch of short stories that just give you an idea for who Geralt is, why he behaves the way he does, his code of honor that he operates by, and they give you that dialogue in the trailer where it's like sometimes the worst monsters are the ones we create. That's just the idea that sometimes the actual physical monsters within this world are not the real monsters. Sometimes humans are the monsters. So the Butcher of Blaviken, where he got that nickname, is one of those events where a bunch of people tried to kill an innocent mage and Geralt stood up for them and then wound up killing all these mercenaries. So that's why they gave him the nickname Butcher of Blaviken. Then you finally see him fighting a monster in this what looks like abandoned castle. This actually might be King Foltest's daughter, which is from that first story, The Last Wish, where he gets hired by a king to rescue his daughter who has been turned into a monster through a curse. So Geralt tries to save her, but mostly you just see him fighting this monster. But the whole idea, like you see this bloody hand, is that it's actually King Foltest's daughter that eventually he does help save. Then you see Geralt being healed, talking to Triss here. This is probably happening right after that event, because Triss is one of the first relationships that he has. She works for King Foltest, but that's one of the very earliest stories that you get in the books. So I'm guessing that's one of the ways that they open the series up in the first couple of episodes. You'll ask, how come he only has one sword on his back? Most of the time in the books, he only walks around with his one steel sword on his back. His silver sword he actually holsters on Roach, his horse. So we got a picture of them the other day, and if you look over here in the corner, you can actually see his silver sword hilt poking out on the side of Roach. So TV show Geralt does have both of his swords. He does have the yellow cat eyes. These eyes that he has here when he's fighting the Striga are just potion eyes. He mixes different types of potions depending on what the needs of his mission are. If he's fighting different kinds of monsters, it takes different kinds of potions. They sort of jump forward in time in the books though. When you see Ciri here in the woods with the Dryads and the Dryad Queen, these are the events where Geralt winds up meeting her for the first time, and Ciri is forced to choose whether or not she stays with the Dryads or whether she goes back with Geralt, and eventually she chooses to go with Geralt. But then I know a lot of people see her later in the trailer in the desert, and they're like, wait a minute, doesn't that happen in the way later books? What's going on here? Is she traveling to the realm of the elves? Because some of the elves within the context of the series, this ancient race, inhabit a whole other world that you can travel to using portals. This seems like it's Fringilla riding into town here. She's just another Nilfgaardian sorceress who's a big part of the series. Then you see a very young version of Yennefer starting her training as a sorceress in the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. The woman speaking to her here in the Tower of Mages and all these different scenes, teaching her all these lessons, is Tassaia. She's the person that takes pity on Yennefer and takes her in. And the reason why she looks super messed up is that she's born a hunchback in the books, but you don't get any of that because when you see her in the books for the first time, she's already a sorceress, and her and Geralt's relationship develops, and slowly he starts to learn about her backstory through flashbacks. So one of the big things that the TV show is adding is that it's giving you all that Yennefer backstory as you go along. I think it'll help explain a little bit more about why she's kind of a dick the first time she actually shows up in the books. Like, why is she so angry all the time? Oh, it's because she had this terrible, terrible childhood. Her father used to physically abuse her, then eventually he left their family. Her mother started to blame her for their father leaving, and then she started to abuse Yennefer as well, so she ran away and eventually joined the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. You start to get all that dialogue about people being really terrible, and you see what seems like the slaughter of Sintra. So in the backdrop of this, you have the larger Nilfgaardian wars that are going on, with Nilfgaard trying to slowly conquer all the neighboring realms, and Ciri is from Sintra. So when you see her walking around these castles here, this is all probably still in Sintra. Like they say, they're coming for you. So they're jumping forward in the story just a little bit, but there are a couple really big conflicts. Like when you see them charging the field here, this could be the Battle of Sodden Hill, or it could be one of the final battles of the Nilfgaardian War, the Conquest and Massacre of Sintra. There are just a couple really huge battles that they could have pulled from the books. They did cast Pavetta. I didn't see anybody listed on the IMDb as Dooney, but that's a bit of a secret. If you haven't read the books, there are a couple big spoilers that you learn about later on in the book, so we'll try to take that as we get it, because I think a lot of people on previous videos are like, how come you didn't give a spoiler warning for this book backstory explainer? So no worries, we can talk about Dooney, Pavetta, and how they tie in with Ciri and her storyline during the books and this big prophecy. There's a lot of bigger stuff that it'll probably take a couple seasons to get to, but they didn't say how many seasons of the show they're going to do, so I'm hoping they go for 5 seasons, but not that many Netflix shows go past 3 seasons. I haven't seen all the one-sheets for all the actors. There's a whole bunch of characters from the books, but I believe this person talking to Geralt is supposed to be Mousak. This scene of Yennefer and Geralt actually seems like it's from the Sorcerer's Banquet, which is much later in the books. Every once in a while, he's forced to go with her and do something in a very official capacity, so when he's forced into situations where he has to interact with all these high society people, it becomes kind of a comedic situation where he just doesn't want to have anything to do with them. Like he thinks that all these people are even more terrible than a lot of the monsters that he's hired to fight. This character here talking to Yennefer is Istred. He's just another mage at the Tower of Mages that she develops a relationship with when she's not with Geralt. Eventually she's forced to choose between the two of them, but she does have other relationships besides him. There are a couple really big characters like Vilgefortz that do not appear in the trailer that I know are in Season 1 because they appear on the IMDb. So there's a couple really huge characters that you might be wondering about that they'll probably just save for the later trailers. But I like some of the special effects. I like Henry Cavill's look. If you're wondering why he doesn't have a beard, it's because Geralt does not have a beard in the books, at least at the beginning. Towards the end of the story, he starts to grow a beard, so maybe towards the end of this series in Season 5 or whenever they decide to end it, then he'll grow a beard. But if you have a lot of questions about little things that it seems like that they've changed, most of what they're going on from a visual sense is based on what's described in the books. So that's why it might seem a little bit different from what you've seen if you played the games. The trailer makes it look really big, but it'll be kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on until we just start getting episodes. So like I said, it's supposed to premiere sometime towards the very end of November, very beginning of December. There'll be 8 episodes for season 1. There's a rumor that they've already renewed it for season 2 because it's so big and it costs so much money, and Henry Cavill's schedule is so hard to plan around that they just want to lock everything down in advance. But they haven't made any official announcements about future seasons beyond these first 8 episodes. So just let me know what you guys think of it in the comments, if you have any special requests for bonus videos based on the Witcher mythology. But as we start to get more footage later this year, I'll do more videos, so no worries. Tomorrow is going to be the big Marvel Phase 4 Comic-Con panel. I'll be doing videos for that, and there's a bunch of DC TV panels. They'll be dropping trailers for all the TV shows and Crisis on Infinite Earths. So as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see all the videos when I post them. But click here for that brand new Rick and Morty Season 4 Comic-Con trailer, and click here for my Spider-Man Far From Home post-credits scene Easter egg video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. Happy Comic-Con week.